My name is Patrick Perry, and I'm an editor on Creepshow Season 3. I would say the biggest challenge of Season 3 of Creepshow is really the same challenge that has been on Seasons 1 and 2, which is, we're making a horror anthology show. How do we make things feel fresh? How do we make things feel different while still providing that sort of core horror experience? This season sees the continuation of collaborations with showrunner Greg Nicotero, DP Rob Draper, our composer Christopher Drake, the sound team over at Bare Knuckles Creative, visual effects done by Crafty Apes. Some of the best new collaborators this season was on the directing front. So my favorite was working with Rusty Kundieff, who is probably known to a lot of horror fans from his Tales from the Hood horror series. It was very, very cool getting to work with him. He was very relaxed, chilled back guy, and I would love to get to work with him again.
I want to find them. Give her something nice to come home to.
Aw, you are a darling.
For Season 3 of Creepshow, I worked on the segments Mums, Familiar, and Meter Reader. The segment that I enjoyed cutting the most is probably Mums. It's a really interesting story because it has a lot of the familiar sort of aspects of what makes a good Creepshow story. There are certain elements of, it being a morality tale, and it's a young boy dealing with an abusive father, things that are right in Creepshow's sort of wheelhouse. But it also deals with situations that I don't think most people are used to seeing from Creepshow. Yeah, so Mums was a really, really fun episode to cut. It certainly had its challenges. I think one of the biggest challenges was a scene involving a garden, which plays a central role in the story. There's a moment where it begins to grow very rapidly, sort of unbeknownst to the characters. And we had to, in the cutting room, come up with some creative ways to kind of show that growth over a relatively short span of time. And so it was something that, it took a lot of trial and error, but I think it's a really cool moment in the show, and hopefully it sells for people.
I wish you could see this. The flowers remind me of you.
One of my favorite scenes in the episode occurs when there's a moment when the mother of this family and her young son are attempting to escape their abusive husband/father. Without giving too much away, he naturally stops them from escaping. I like it because it's a scene that starts off very happy. You start to really kind of feel things pick up, gaining speed, gaining motion, gaining optimism. And then there's a big moment where it sort of just all comes crashing to the ground. There is a really, really terrific performance by Ethan Embry in this segment. And it's really our introduction to him as a character. Immediately, you can just feel the sort of what a poisonous force this guy is. And it just starts to pollute everything. One of the things that was really important while cutting that scene was sort of making sure that even though we're focused on these two adult actors, you do have a kid in the background who's sort of witnessing this. And there were certain moments where we tried to really make it feel as if, you were witnessing an argument from the kid's perspective. It was a challenging scene to cut, but I think it turned out really nicely. So as Creepshow sort of enters into its third season, it's kind of fun to think about how we got here in the first place. So I was one of the first editors on Season 1 of Creepshow to start work. I think a lot of Season 1 was based on just sort of nailing a certain horror anthology vibe. The difference is, since Season 1 though, I think, the show is just a lot more at ease with itself. You can feel it starting to kind of branch out in sort of unexpected territory. You can feel it becoming a little more kind of self-referential at times. You can feel it becoming more playful without sort of betraying original Creepshow sort of ethos. We put a lot of work into Season 3 of Creepshow, trying to figure out new ways to sort of keep these stories fresh, and I think we have achieved that. So I hope you enjoy watching it, and Season 3 of Creepshow is now streaming on Shudder.